Hey everyone, it's Mike with It's Pittsfield Tonight. I'm going to jump right into it. It is December 24th, Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. Happy holidays to all who celebrate. Whatever you celebrate, even if you're just celebrating a day off, do it well. So this video, I'm going to talk specifically about last night's emergency city council meeting that was in direct response to the current investigation at Pittsfield High School with all the alleged criminal activity stuff going on there. So, and it was an interesting one. I recommend watching it. If you haven't seen it, go to Pittsfield Community Television's Facebook page. You can watch it there. The public speaking part was very interesting. I'll leave it at that. Most of the people who spoke are some of the same people who spoke at the last school committee meeting. But the last speaker was definitely interesting. There was a confrontational situation, which some of the things said were a little shocking, but Councilor Musso couldn't contain herself and jumped in, and then that just made it much worse. And that got out of hand, and next thing you know, cameras were off, and they cut to recess. They came back with the council chambers back to normal, and that person no longer there, the public speaking person. I will talk about one public speaker that really stood out to me was a student, a former student of Pittsfield High School, and he talked about his experience being bullied there, being not listened to. He made allegations against one of the dean of students who's implicated in some stuff now. It was very sad to hear that because you could see the effect it had on him, and it wasn't just sad. It should make you angry. It made me angry to think that his experience had to be like that because of bullying. Not cool. So anyway. After the public speaking, we got to the counselors speaking. Now, the point of this meeting, I have no clue, because they all made it very clear, we're not here to vote on anything. We're not here to talk about the investigation and specifics. We're not here for any other reason other than to show our support for each other or the school committee or the investigation. I don't even know what it was. I look at it as it was a PR move to come out and show that they're on this or they're not ignoring it. It was a little odd. So some of the counselors used it as an opportunity, it sounded to me like to lecture people. Counselor Rhonda Sarer, I don't know how you pronounce her name, she put on a very theatrical speech, but it was all, we need to do this, we need to do that. It was very telling people what they need to do. You need to do this right now, and you need to do that, and you need to support the mayor, and you need to support the council, and you need to support the superintendent. And I thought that was odd. And one of the phrases that was used a few times throughout the night that I didn't understand and didn't like was, good people do bad things. Heard that a few times. And I thought to myself, not a time and place to be saying that at all. We don't even know what the bad things are yet. Not all of them, right? When you use the phrase, good people do bad things, you use that phrase when somebody who's done a bad thing turns their life around, right? They pay for what they did, they rehabilitate, and now they're a productive part of society, and they use that experience to help others. That's when you say good people do bad things, when someone has turned themselves around and made good on doing some bad things. We're in the phase right now of bad people doing bad things. And I don't think it should be sugar-coated in any way whatsoever to be politically correct. And my gut is telling me that's why it was being said. That's what my gut tells me. People trying to be politically correct. And you don't need to be. We're talking about kids, right? So anything that has a negative impact on children, I'm sorry. I mean, these are conscious choices that adults are making, and they're supposed to be the best of the best. They're supposed to be qualified, right? They're supposed to be qualified at what they do to protect and educate children. So, no, it's bad people doing bad things. That's how I feel. The counselor that I related to the most that spoke would have been Counselor Earl Persip. I thought Earl was spot on with what he said. You have a right to be angry. No, I shouldn't be casting my support to everybody right now. Let's find out what's what before we start saying that. And one of the things that Counselor Rhonda Sear said, or Sear, I don't know how you pronounce her name, so forgive me, it's not intentional, is one of the things she said is people need to not overreact and want an immediate response to this. I think she's missing something here, because look, when Jake McCandless left as superintendent, there were people already unhappy, okay? But when he left and we had an opportunity to bring in a new superintendent, and I covered that thoroughly. And if people remember, Dennis Powell was on the school committee, and Mr. Powell made it very specific. He said, if we're doing this, let's do it the right way, but don't waste my time, basically. Don't waste my time if we're just going to do the same old, and we're going through all this for nothing. And he ended up walking off of the school committee when they decided to go with Joe Curtis, because he said he knew it. He knew it. We had a chance for real change. We had some amazing candidates come forward. And I'm not saying on paper that Mr. Curtis wasn't as qualified as those candidates, but we had a opportunity for real change, and we passed on it. And it upset a lot of people. It upset me, and I'll tell you another person that was very vocal about it was Counselor Persip. At that time, he was very vocal about it. He felt like, what a missed opportunity. And, since then, we've seen quite a few things going wrong. So it's not a knee-jerk reaction to one incident. There's so many things, but remember the floors, right? The toxic fumes from the floors, and everyone's saying, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? Who hired them? Who told them they could be here? Wasn't me, wasn't me. No one knew where the buck stopped there either. It just got passed around in a loop. And nobody wanted to take responsibility for that. And that was when they redid the gymnasium floors, and it had toxic fumes. They decided to refinish them while school was open, and the schools had to do an emergency evacuation. How about the fights at Taconic when they were filmed and it got out and parents were like, whoa, and seeing that these weren't just like, you picture little kids like getting in a scuffle. These were some knockdown teachers getting hurt. What about that? There's so many things that have happened, and the morale is just not there. And when we hear things like support our teachers, yes, you want to support our teachers before we lose more of our good ones. And what's the best way to support them right now, in my opinion? We need new administration. We need new blood. And Mr. Curtis should see that himself. He should see that himself and say, you know what? It sucks that it stops with me if that's how he feels, like he's a scapegoat, if he feels that way. But when you accept the position as top dog in a public position, and something like this goes down, the buck has to stop with somebody. And this is one that I don't know how else you're going to get trust back. I don't. I think that he should resign and step down. The only way you're going to get trust back is new leadership. A new administration has to come in. And it's just going to have to be that way. Otherwise, by next year, wait to see the choice out rate then. That's what I think. I think it's going to... You can't. You have to get trust back, and that's going to be the only way. How are you going to get trust back with all the exact same people? It's not going to work well. It's not going to work well, in my opinion. All right, so that's it on that. There's plenty to talk about. We'll talk about the merry-go-round or the carousel coming up soon. I talked about that in the last one, my opinion on that. What else? Oh, thank you to Counselor Cavey, Counselor Persip, and Counselor White. After I put that last video out, they got on that trash situation in Ward 5, and it was handled pretty quickly. So a chunk of Ward 5 was forgotten. Their last trash day was on Friday, and there was a miscommunication with drivers, and they forgot a big part of the route, which was Lebanon, Melbourne, Chapel, Vista, Barker. Anyway, they went back and they did get it on Monday. So thank you to Councilors Cavey, Persip, and White. All right, that is it for now. Enjoy the holiday, everyone. Hopefully you all have the day off, or at least one of them here. But take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll be seeing you soon enough with that emergency school committee meeting coming up on the 30th. And we'll at least be talking about that. But take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll catch y'all on the next day or two.